Before you start your journey of improving a process, you need to understand what is happening in your process. That's where flowcharts comes in. In this video, I will give you an overview of what are flowcharts, why they are important, what are the symbols of basic elements of a flowchart, how do we create one, and we'll create one example together. Let's get to it. A flowchart or process flowchart is a visual tool that depicts the flow or sequence of steps in a process. It can contain as much detail that the improvement team consider necessary, like the inputs and outputs of each process, such as materials, services, requirements, and people. Decisions that must be made in the process defining different paths of action, like yes or no questions, testing for pass or fail criteria, and others. A process flow can be used to describe a manufacturing process, an administrative process, a service process, and so many more. Flowcharts are important because they are the foundation of any process improvement initiative. They will help to bring the team to the same understanding of what is happening in the process and not what they think is happening. If you ask the manager, will tell you this, the engineer will tell you this, the assembler will tell you this. Edward Deming stated, if you cannot describe what are you doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. In other words, you cannot start improving a process that you don't understand. Let's see what are the symbols of basic elements to create a flowchart. We already talked about that flowcharts have steps or individual processes. Those steps are represented by a rectangle. A flowchart must have a beginning and an end. They are represented by an oval. If there are decisions in the process, they are represented by a diamond. Inputs and outputs of each process can be represented by a parallelogram, or they can be listed next to the process rectangles. And how do we connect them? We can use arrow connectors defining the direction of the process. There are three additional symbols that can be used to enhance the details of the flowchart, like document or multi-document. These represent a specific type of output from a process where a physical document or an electronic document need to be created. Off-page connector. This is used when a flowchart is so big that it has to be split in sections to provide enough detail. How do we create flowcharts? Let's start with preparation. You don't just start putting symbols together randomly. The recommendation is to select a team of people that is relevant to the process you're going to flowchart. You can use a whiteboard or a wall with sticky notes, or if you have enough experience with Microsoft Office, you can use any of the applications with the flowchart symbols. First, define the process to be diagram. Write the title at the top of the workspace. Then discuss and decide on the scope of your process. Set boundaries. When or where does the process start and end? Discuss the level of detail to be included in the diagram. Brainstorm the activities that takes place in the process, including decision points. Write them down on the whiteboard or put them on sticky notes. Try to accommodate them in the sequence so it is easier to detect if a step is missing. Once you have all the steps and everyone agrees they are in the right order, start drawing arrows to connect them and show the flow of the process. There is a recommended step to be taken here. Take your team to walk the process and talk with other people that is involved with it. Workers, supervisors, suppliers, customers, and others, to see if they agree that the process is accurate. You can add the inputs and outputs to the individual processes, like key people, material, and others. Let's do one quick example of a flowchart using a process that probably some people will identify with, a wake-up routine. The boundaries are between sleeping and ready to start the day. So that's what we will use for start and end of this flowchart. How do we normally wake up? Using an alarm. So one step will be the alarm rings. The next logical step is get out of bed. And this should be it, right? But does everyone just get immediately out of bed? Probably not. So there is definitely a decision after the alarm rings. Ready to get up? Now we have two possible paths. Yes, just get up. No, then we push the snooze button to get 5 extra minutes in bed. Now I think we have all the steps. Let's connect them in the right order. From the start, the flow goes to the alarm rings, then go to the decision, ready to get up, no, push the snooze button to get 5 minutes, and loops back to the alarm rings. Then go to the decision again, ready to get up, this time yes. Now the flow goes to the get out of bed. And after that, we're ready to start the day, and that ends the flow. All right, let's do a quick summary of what we just learned. We learned that a flowchart is a visual tool that depicts the flow or the sequence of steps in a process. They are important to understand what is happening in the process versus what we believe is happening. We learned about the symbols of the flowchart elements and how to put together a basic flowchart. If you want to learn more about these tools, subscribe to my channel, follow my pages, or visit my website, learnwithcobb.com, where you can find more video tutorials like this. I'll see you in the next video.